There may not be a better game that encompasses the history, evolution, and longevity of the entire video game industry than Pac-Man. First appearing almost 45 years ago, he's been around since the beginning of video game entertainment, and in that time he's gone from this, to this, for some reason to this, and in more recent years he's taken on this form. He's been the face of cereals, pasta, Halloween costumes, cartoon shows, Christmas specials, lunch pails, coffee mugs, and even telephones. He's made movie cameos and Google cameos. So if nothing else, Pac-Man truly is a multi-generational character. Hey everyone, welcome back to this episode of Gaming My Way to 50 here on Cake in a Cave. This is the channel where we firmly believe in the saying, you don't stop playing because you get old, but rather you get old because you stop playing. Today's video wouldn't be possible without two events happening almost simultaneously. Pac-Man being released by Namco in 1980, and 4-year-old Michael being taken to a donut shop by his parents, where he immediately noticed the black and yellow cabinet sitting in the corner. That's right, my first experience with Pac-Man didn't take place at a pizza parlor where you'd think it would be more poetic, but rather a donut shop in Burbank, California. I had been looking at the black and yellow cabinet sitting over in the corner, and I begged my mom to let me give it a try. Mind you, I was 4 years old at this point and had no idea what it actually was. She took me over, lifted me onto a stool, dropped in a quarter, and let me take the controls, and I immediately managed to run my Pac-Mans? Pacs? Well, anyway, I used all my lives running them immediately into the ghosts, ending the game in less than 30 seconds. Now, while neither my mom or I knew exactly what was going on with that game at that time, I can look back and say honestly, what I do know for sure happened was that was my first experience with a video game, which led to a lifelong passion. And the cost to start this hobby? It was just 25 cents. Chop forward to today, and Pac-Man is still making his way into gamers' hearts. And today we're looking at Pac-Man World Repac from 2022, which in itself is a remake of the PlayStation 1 Pac-Man World from 2002. So Pac-Man World Repac features a massive graphical update when compared to the original, as well as enhanced music and sound, retooled boss fights, and much improved gameplay. This latest version of Pac-Man really shows how a tiny handful of pixels from 40 years ago can continue to entertain multiple generations of gamers. Gaming My Way to 50 is all about my personal memories and experiences with games across the last 49 to 50 years. And I have to admit, I never actually completed Pac-Man World for the PS1. That didn't stop me from wanting to take a look at this new version when I saw that it was recently released on the PlayStation Plus service. I figured now would be a time to maybe find a game that kind of slipped the radar all those years ago, 20 years ago to be exact. No, 20 math. Almost 23 years ago to be exact. What I found really felt like a great mix of modernized gameplay with nostalgic nods to both Pac-Man and Namco's past, and I think it makes a great playthrough for both Pac-Man World veterans and newcomers alike. While the opening cinematic has been upgraded and changed from the original game, it still depicts Pac-Man's friends and family preparing a party for him to come home to. We get to see lesser known characters like Professor Pac-Man and even a special visit from Puka from the Dig Dug series, another Namco property. Before they can finish preparations, the evil Talkman, a mechanical version of Pac-Man who would fit right in at any Five Nights at Freddy's amusement center, kidnaps everyone and takes them to his lair in the mountains. When Pac-Man returns home to find the crime scene, he doesn't hesitate to pack his tools and head across 23 different levels to rescue his family and friends. Along the way, he can also gain access to 36 3D Pac-Man-like mazes, as well as unlocking the original arcade version of Pac-Man when the story is complete. So I guess you can say this game packs in both the oldest and newest versions of Pac-Man in one place. Like a lot of us, Pac-Man has changed his looks and style over the decades. He's been a flat sprite, a 3D bouncing ball, a superhero, a pinball, and in more recent versions, he's been an anamorphic version of himself, similar to the one seen in the 1980s Pac-Man cartoons. Fans and veterans of 3D platformers alike will find Pac-Man World very easy to pick up and play. Your Pac-Man is able to jump, butt bounce, throw his power pellets, and hover mid-air, both of which are new features only found in the Repac version of Pac-Man World, as well as having a Sonic-like spinning charge that he can launch himself into enemies through obstacles and over ramps. And I'm happy to report that there is so little camera jank and bad enemy placement in this game, something we had to deal with a lot back in the day. Dots, pellets, coins, and fruit are scattered throughout the entire level, and everything will give you points, and I love the fact that they kept trying to get a high score as part of the gameplay mechanics. Because anybody who grew up in the arcades knows that the way you proved your superiority over others was getting your score in that first place and putting your initials in as AS. The coins and points you collect will also help give you access to a Pac-Man based slot machine in between each level. Certain items will also provide gameplay access to additional features and bonus stages, but more on those in a moment. The locked doors on each stage hide a number of switches, secrets, and shortcuts. The key to opening these doors literally is the fruit that you collect. Have the corresponding item that matches the picture above each door, and faster than you can say Pac Power,
Pac Power!
The door will open up, granting you access to what's behind. The majority of the stages in this game are well thought out, and I love the fact that right from the beginning, it hits you with the nostalgia by placing a little Pac-Man maze in-game, complete with ghosts, dots, and energizers for you to chomp on. These mazes are found throughout the entire playthrough, and eventually they expand in their size and scope, requiring you to go across multiple screens and above, around, and sometimes even through obstacles in order to eat all of the dots and ghosts available. Level design is great, and the devs did an excellent job of placing dots and fruit in locations to let you know where you have to go next should you find yourself lost. While there is some backtracking you'll have to do, the items you need are never far out of reach, and you never have to go that far back most of the time in order to find out what you gained access to. I found these things more of an adventure than a chore, and even on levels where I was kind of wanting just to get through it, I'd get that key or item and be like, yeah, okay, let's go back and see what that gets me. There's an icon of the ship from the game Galaxian, also by Namco, hidden on each level, which finding that gives you access to a door behind which is a maze that takes you to a 3D traditional Pac-Man game. Except in this case, each stage takes on some aspects of the current world. This could mean in addition to avoiding ghosts, you also have to dodge lasers, fireballs, and falling ruins. Doing so with the 3 lives they give you will grant you bonus points and take you back to the main stage. Letter spelling Pac-Man can be found on each stage, and collecting all 6 of these grants you access to a special themed bonus level at the end of each stage. Here you'll have less than 60 seconds to collect all the fruit and items and try and make it to the goal before time runs out. Completing all these bonus levels help to boost your score as well as giving you access to achievements and trophies on modern consoles. Similar to the slot machine in Super Mario Bros. 2, Pac-Man stamped coins found in each level will give you free pulls on the Pac-Man slot machine at the end of each stage. If you're able to match 3 symbols in a row, you'll gain between 1 and 3 bonus lives. And let me tell you something, as a Las Vegas resident, that slot machine was harder to hit the bonus on than the tightest Buffalo slots in town. Let's talk about the boss fights, because man, these are hands down the best part of this game, and I would play an entire game of Pac-Man World boss fights if I could. Each of them is a remake of the original boss fights, but featuring larger sprites, new mechanics, and sometimes actual additional gameplay. My favorites of these had to be when Pac-Man found himself racing clowns through a circus in the 3D view, or hopping into a spaceship and playing what basically amounted to a full stage of Galaga in 3D. All of the boss fights are remakes of the originals, but they take on new aspects, new graphics and mechanics, and even those that are vastly changed, like the Chrome Keeper and Amon-Ra fights, still retain the spirit of the original battle. Let's talk about what can really make or break a gaming experience, the music and the sound. And Pac-Man nails it. Not only does every world feature its own thematically rearranged version of the original Pac-Man theme and the cutscene tunes, but it's even more impressive when you consider those songs in themselves were less than 30 notes. Appropriately, each one will come at you with island rhythms, clown-based pipe organ music, or even sci-fi heroic theming. The sounds are like they're ripped right out of the 1980 version and bring back all of the nostalgic feels you would expect hearing Pac-Man chomping on a piece of fruit or gaining that extra life. And here again, I think we have a game where the music could fit right in with any video game enthusiast playlist. And my personal favorite? The Galaxian King fight, which takes place behind a really jazzed up version of the Galaga theme song, which is another Namco property we'll definitely be taking a look at on the way to 50. As a matter of fact, if anybody from Namco is watching this, please like and subscribe, but also, can we just get an entire game of this 3D Pac-Man Galaga, please? Truth be told, when I first started playing Pac-Man World, it was just to see if eventually I wanted to do a video on this down the road. But the more I played it, the more I realized what better game symbolizes what this entire series on Cake in a Cave is about. Looking at the gaming industry for the entire 50 years I've been a part of it, and there's not much older than Pac-Man who started me on this journey and still continues to be around me in many forms to this day. He's reinvented himself just like I have over the decades, and when I look back and see how I've changed and how he's changed, I've realized he's always been there with me, just a few steps behind, and hopefully not turning me blue and getting ready to chomp. The fact that he's still finding a place in gamers' libraries today is amazing, and maybe it's just a testament to how some of the simple things from the classics can still find their way to be included in the modern gaming of today. So what are your favorites? What are some games you wish would get reinvented? And what are some that you wish would have stayed in the past? Let us know in the comments down below, because we're always looking for new ideas. Because we hope you'll stay tuned and keep on playing, because over the course of this year, we'll be looking at many more games from the last 5 decades as we continue down the road on gaming my way to 50.